everyone, good evening. I'm Shreya Dhondia. Another day, another Chinese provocation. 24 hours after the PLA abducted an Arunachali hunter, there is still no news of him. The 17-year-old hunter, according to the local BJP MP Tapir Gao, was abducted from inside Indian territory. South Bloc has downplayed the incident, indicating that the young man probably got lost and strayed into Chinese territory. Which of the two versions is correct is still unclear. But what is clear is the stepped-up aggression of the Chinese all along the LAC, from eastern Ladakh to Arunachal Pradesh. On Debrief this evening, we are looking closely at the 1,129-kilometer long border that Arunachal Pradesh shares with China and the salami slicing in the region that has gone on for years now. Joining me on Debrief today, two people who know the issue and the area very well. Former Army Chief General VP Malik joining me on Debrief this evening. So is Ninong Ering, who's a former MP from Arunachal Pradesh East and is a current member of the State Assembly. Let's start though with the abduction of the Arunachali hunter by the PLA and why it has become a political war of words between the BJP and the Congress. Has this 17-year-old Arunachali hunter been abducted by the PLA, or has he simply strayed into Chinese territory and got lost? Tapir Gao, the BJP MP from Arunachal Pradesh, has claimed that Miram Taron was on a hunting expedition with his friend in the Upper Siang district when he was abducted by the Chinese army. His friend's son escaped and reported the matter to the Arunachal Pradesh police. The Indian Army, as per laid down protocol, immediately activated the hotline with the PLA, asking for the whereabouts of the hunter. The communication said that an individual collecting herbs and hunting had lost his way, and if found, he may be returned as per established protocol. Tapir Gao, the BJP MP from Arunachal Pradesh, has often raised concerns about China's salami slicing in Arunachal. He has largely been ignored.
More than 50-60 किलोमीटर चाइना हमारा टेरिटरी में कब्जा करके रखा है। इसलिए मैं अपना सरकार से आपका माध्यम से मैं कहना चाहूंगा, दूसरा कहीं दगलम होगा तो अरुणाचल प्रदेश में होगा।
In his tweet about the abduction, he makes it clear that the Chinese have abducted the hunter from Lunta Jor area, which is well within Indian territory and where Chinese in 2018 made a 3 to 4 kilometer road.
The Chinese...
the Congress party jumped in on the issue, saying the Modi government has shut its eyes to China's provocations.
It's unfortunate and it's a tragedy that the highest forum of Indian democracy has been actively subverted from discussing the situation on the border with China.
The government of India is yet to officially react to the development. Now, this is not the first time an incident of this nature has occurred. In 2020, 5 Arunachali hunters had similarly been abducted from the Upper Subansiri district. A week later, they were released by the PLA. The official Indian press note had said that looking for herbs and musk deers, the hunters had inadvertently crossed into Chinese territory. A few months later, a PLA soldier captured by India in Pangong So, who had mistakenly crossed over, was similarly returned. In New Delhi, I'm Shreya Dhondia. Let me go straight to my guests who are joining me this evening. General VP Malik is a former Chief of Army Staff, knows the area well and the issue well. He is with us on the show. So is Ninong Ering, who's a Congress MLA, someone who's been a former MP of this very area. General Malik, I'm coming to you first. Many such issues and incidents, when they crop up, are dismissed as a difference in perception of where the Indian territory begins and Chinese territory ends. In this case, do you think that is what the issue is? That is what the matter is? I ask you this question, General Malik, because the BJP MP from the area is very clear in his tweet when he says that the Arunachali hunter was abducted from inside Indian territory.
Good evening, Shreya. Thank you for asking me to join you on this program. Yes, you are right. there is no doubt that the boundary in this part of Arunachal Pradesh is disputed as well as not clearly marked, even on the maps, I would say. And both the congressmen as well as even some people from the BJP have been claiming that some part of Siang, Upper Siang area, where this incident has taken place, and even some other location on the Subansari side also, that they have been encroached upon by the Chinese. A few years ago, in fact, there was an incident here only, in this area only, when the Chinese tried to construct a road which was objected to by our people.
Correct.
And if I remember, then the road construction was stopped. So it's a very difficult area. The posts are far apart. As I said, there are hardly any markings on the ground that you can make out whether you are in your territory or across the boundary, and boundary itself is disputed. And the locals do go out for hunting in this area, particularly during winters. And during summer, they also take their yaks in these areas for grazing, etc. Now that the development of roads has started taking place in a much greater pace on both sides, and the Chinese have been constructing the roads very close to the border. Earlier also they've been doing it, and now the speed is even faster.
Correct.
So you are likely to have such incidents of either forcible kidnapping or people going astray into the other territory without proper knowledge.
Okay.
And I think the only alternative is to have a better patrolling and more posts in these areas. And the locals should be informed about where they should not be going.
Okay.
They have to be briefed on these issues.
Okay.
But you're right, primarily the problem is the disputed area and not marked either on the maps properly or, of course, not on the ground.
Okay. Ninong Ering, come in here. We've spoken to our sources within South Block, and they seem to be of the view, and they seem to suggest that, these two young men who were out on a hunting expedition possibly lost their way and inadvertently crossed into the Chinese side. Is that a view you buy, given the fact that your colleague from the BJP, you're from the Congress, but the MP there is from the BJP, is very clearly saying that is not the case? The fact is that the kidnapping happened, the abduction happened from inside Indian territory. Are you seeing this as a difference of perception issue, or are you seeing it as unnecessary Chinese aggression and provocation?
Good evening. I'm really grateful to you all that you have also invited me to your show. To be very frank, what Mr. Tapirgaon has said, our Honorable MP from the BJP, he has spoken the words out of his heart. It is not what the South Block has said or what the government is saying. Let us be very frank. We don't want to antagonize anybody, nor does China also want to antagonize, as far as I know. We have had this issue not now, but since ages. And you must have seen, we are always at a loss. Like I always mentioned the Panchsheel Agreement and the McMahon Line. Why I am saying this, that when these agreements were made, then even the China had its own representative. Of course, China did not have its independence at that time. It was under the British regime. But let me be very frank, that what China is doing now, that they are going for aggression. They are going for accession. So this is a wrong message, not only to India, but throughout the world. That is, let it be in Sri Lanka, let it be in Pakistan, let it be in the South Asian countries, let it be in Mongolia. We have these problems everywhere with China. Now, China may have some problems with their own, we don't know. But my concern is that why are they always taking Arunachal as a soft point? Because Arunachal people are very, docile, they're very simple. We don't have any kind of, attitude that we should have war with China.
Okay.
We have that experience in 1962 when the Chinese came.
Okay.
Our people were very much with the army. They have helped the army, and
Okay.
especially in Tawang or even in the borders of Kibito or even in Singa or Gailing.
Okay.
You'll see that our people have always helped. Now also this
So you are
issue
seeing this. So you are
that,
seeing this. You are seeing this as an act of aggression, essentially. I'm going to ask
yes,
both of you to
yes.
stay with us and just talk to our viewers a bit about whether this is a case of differing perceptions of the border. Well, when it comes to Arunachal Pradesh, China calls it South Tibet and claims all of it. A month ago, in fact, they had renamed 15 places in Arunachal Pradesh. They have also been building dual-use villages inside Indian territory that India claims as its own. Is the abduction of this Arunachali hunter an assertion of that claim? Take a look.
Zhangnan. That's what the Chinese call it. What's Arunachal to us is South Tibet to them. And for Beijing, it's been Chinese territory since time immemorial.
In our position, the whole of what you call the state, Arunachal state, is Chinese territory. And that one is only one place in it. And we are claiming all of that. That's our position.
Despite Arunachal Pradesh's existence in India being firmly established, China claims otherwise and isn't shy of using force. The Indo-China border dispute covers the 3,488-kilometer long line of actual control. China claims some 90,000 square kilometers of Arunachal as its own territory. Its maps show Arunachal as part of China. To reassert its claim, Beijing routinely protests visits of Indian dignitaries to the state, from prime ministers to presidents, ministers and even MPs. The latest being Vice President Venkaiah Naidu when he addressed a state assembly last October. Pettily, the Chinese embassy often denies visas to top Indian officials and athletes to travel to China on ground of their domicile. Young stars of Arunachal have borne the brunt as they were barred from participating in sporting events in China. Fuming at India's firm stance, China in the end of December last year renamed 15 places in Arunachal Pradesh, 8 residential areas, 4 mountains, 2 rivers and a mountain pass, as if that made any difference on the ground. India has dismissed the move with the contempt it deserves.
Arunachal Pradesh has always been and will always be an integral part of India. Assigning invented names to places in Arunachal Pradesh does not alter this fact.
Renaming is clearly part of the Chinese strategy to assert its territorial claims over India. In 2017 too, China had first issued official names for 6 places in Arunachal. China disputes the legal status of the McMahon Line, the boundary between Tibet and British India that was agreed at the Simla Convention in 1914. China claims territory to the south of the McMahon Line in Arunachal Pradesh. While lies and duplicity remain the bedrock of Chinese foreign policy, New Delhi remains unyielding. Arunachal was, is and will remain an integral part of India. With NC Satpathy, Ritanshu Bhattacharya for CNN News 18.
General Malik, come in here. We've just put out the history of Arunachal Pradesh and why China claims all of it. I want to understand from you, this is what a representative of Arunachal Pradesh who's on the show with us is saying. Is Arunachal Pradesh a soft spot as far as India-China relations are concerned? Do you agree with that? And do you see the picking up of the Chinese hunter, of the Arunachali hunter by the PLA, an act of provocation that is in line with everything that has happened in the last 20 months, sir? Because, see, the hotlines have been activated. If they have kidnapped him, abducted him, they could have very well, returned the call and said, look, we have him and we'll release him. And probably they will release him. But they so far have not communicated back with the Indian army.
Firstly, I must mention here that our colleague from the Arunachal Pradesh, it's not a problem between Arunachal Pradesh and China.
Correct.
The problem is between India and China. And Arunachal Pradesh is very much part of India. And I can assure you, notwithstanding any rhetoric that you hear from the Chinese side, nobody is going to permit any part of Arunachal Pradesh to be given to China whether it is forcibly tried or whichever way they want to try that. And we have adequate forces to defend our territory. Yes, there are areas which are disputed and where, some encroachment can take place from both sides. We are also capable of doing the same thing what they are doing. And other thing is that there is no doubt that the Chinese have been aggressive recently. And as he himself mentioned, our colleague from Arunachal Pradesh, it's not only on the northern border of India, but everywhere else also. But having said all that, yes, it is an old dispute. Yes, the border is not marked clearly, and therefore this kind of encroachment as well as transgression, as well as some people by mistake going to the other side has been taking place. It will take place even in future, I expect.
Okay.
And we have to have probably a larger number of posts and security posts on our side and brief the people properly.
Okay.
We also have to continue with our development of the border areas as we have been doing recently. But there should be absolutely no problem at all on anybody's mind that because they think that Arunachal Pradesh is their area, therefore they can take it. It doesn't happen that way at all. We've got adequate forces. If they claim Arunachal Pradesh, we are also claiming the Assertion area and other areas. So let's not get involved in rhetoric. Let's go on the with the facts on the ground. And the facts on the ground is that we are capable of defending Arunachal Pradesh, which is very much part of India.
Okay, we leave it there then for the moment, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us. General Malik and Ninong Ering joining us. Thank you very much for your time here on CNN News 18 and Debrief. Now, China's infrastructure build-up all along the 3,488-kilometer LAC is for everyone to see. In the last 20 months, as the standoff has continued in eastern Ladakh, much money and effort has been spent by the Chinese building bridges and roads and highways and heliports and permanent structures for their troops, all to support forward troops in eastern Ladakh and to concretize the status quo. Not just in the icy heights of eastern Ladakh, the game to counter China is underway on all fronts. Today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, pushing India's strategic interests in the Indian Ocean nations, inaugurated several development projects in Mauritius.
It was in Mauritius during my 2015 visit that I had outlined India's maritime cooperation vision of Sagar. Security and growth for all in the region.
This move comes close on the heels of the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi's visit to Indian Ocean states, during which the Chinese side unveiled several economic projects. Not just abroad, even at the 3,488-kilometer border with India, China is on a building spree. The newest addition is a bridge across the Pangong Tso Lake that's now nearly complete. The bridge connects the two banks of the lake, allowing quicker mobilization of forces and weapons in case of a conflict. The under construction Pangong-Rutog Road will also cut travel time by 150 kilometers for the Chinese. This is the latest in a series of major infrastructure projects that have been undertaken by the Chinese side in the last 20 months of the standoff. Under its new contentious border law, China has been building and populating dual-use villages along the LAC, especially across Arunachal. China is also building a network of heliports across the Tibetan plateau. One amongst them is constructed right across India's Dolak Beg Oldie Air Base and is too close for comfort. They've also built 4 villages in Bhutanese territory, awfully close to Doklam, the site of the 2017 standoff. India has responded with its own infra push. In the last year, 27 roads and bridge projects, most of them along the Indo-Tibetan border, have been inaugurated. They include the Flag Hill Dokla Road, a 33-kilometer double-laned motorable stretch at an altitude of 11,000 feet, which will reduce the time needed for Indian troops to reach the Doklam Plateau dramatically. And then there is the Umlingla Pass Road, a 52-kilometer stretch constructed at a height of 19,300 feet, that will link Leh to the strategically important Demchok area. The signalling of intent hasn't ended there. In a first, the Border Road Organization kept the Zojila Pass open beyond 31st December despite extreme weather conditions. The same was done for the Khardungla Pass, which is the world's second highest motorable road.
Last 4 years, the budget of BRO has been doubled. We have accelerated the pace of construction of roads, bridges, tunnels in the forward areas, and it has never happened like this. There is a lot of support from the government of the day.
Building infrastructure takes money and effort. The PLA has built at least 8 roads towards the LAC from China's G219 highway. The Indian Army chief was clear about what this build-up means.
We are in a position to meet whatever is thrown at us in the future, and of that I can assure you very confidently. And war is always, or conflict is always an instrument of last resort. But if resorted to, we will come out victorious.
The Chinese have signaled their intent to stay put in areas that they have ingressed upon, building infrastructure to support their massive deployment all along the LAC. India is preparing for what is clearly going to be the long haul. With Natasha Menden in New Delhi, I'm Shreya Dhondial. And India arming itself as well. Today, India has successfully once again tested a new variant of the BrahMos missile, successfully test firing it off the coast of Odisha. Pictures coming up next. You don't want to miss them. Do stay with us. Welcome back. India today successfully test-fired a new version of the BrahMos missile off the coast of Odisha in Balasore. Take a look at these pictures. India has already deployed a sizable number of original BrahMos missiles that can be launched from submarines, ships, aircraft or land platforms. Earlier, on January 11th, the country had successfully test-fired the BrahMos supersonic cruise missile from the Indian Navy's INS Vishakhapatnam warship. Take a look at these pictures once again. And finally, as we wrap debrief today, this is a bit of a heartbreaker. It's really the end of an era. The Amar Jawan Jyoti at the India Gate will be extinguished tomorrow after 50 years. A part of the flame will travel to the National War Memorial and it will be merged with the eternal flame that is there. The memorial, which is the Amar Jawan Jyoti, was constructed after the India-Pakistan War of 1971, and it commemorates martyred soldiers. So these pictures that you're seeing today on your screens, if you go to India Gate after tomorrow, you'll no longer see these scenes because the eternal flame will be extinguished. A part of it, as I said, will tomorrow travel to the National War Memorial, where it will be merged with the eternal flame that burns there. With these pictures on your screens, the end of an era, we leave it there. Thanks for watching. Good night.